So every time I get into one of these like depressive states, the first thing I think about coming out of them is I got to do more. I have to talk about it more on podcasts. I have to have more conversations on my podcast with individuals that are feeling the same way, because I know social media at times can be detrimental, but the easiest way to feel better about the circumstance that you're in is to see others feeling the same way.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to Something for Everybody. My name is Aaron Machbitz. Dodge, welcome to the show, man.
What's going on? First name Aaron, but we're going to keep it simple for everybody today. We're going to go with Dodge, and we're going to go with Aaron.
Yes, absolutely. First and most important question I will ask you today is, how are you doing? Like, actually, for real, how are you doing?
Gosh, I love this question. Heard it on a past episode. Love the intentionality behind it. I'm doing great. My wife and I went to see T-Pain in concert last night, so he's got me on a high because he's a fantastic performer. But overall, beautiful day in LA, no complaints.
Amazing. I wanted to kick off this conversation on a very self-indulgent personal note, because I know you got married almost a year ago, I think, right? 2023.
Yep. November. We just crossed 6 months, so we're in the 8-month region. Yeah.
Beautiful. Amazing. Congratulations. I will be getting married in September. So I just want to hear any bits of information, wisdom, things you've learned, things that you and your wife do that made your relationship more healthy. Just anything in that sort.
Oh, wow. Where do I even start? So I'm going to say everything that I'm about to say based solely on not knowing what you and your partner are doing for your wedding at all. So I believe that success leaves clues. And so when we were thinking about what we wanted to do for our wedding, we asked a bunch of people that have been married before. And we said, how much money did you spend? And the money that you spent, I know that it was the most amazing day of your life, but do you have any regrets around what you did, how you did, and the budget that you spent on your wedding? And almost everybody said, we overspent. If I could go back, I would spend less. It got out of hand. My parents invited too many of their high school friends that I have no connection with at all. And I'm paying $137 a plate for Uncle Eddie that I haven't seen in 25 years, and my cousin over here that I haven't talked to in 7 years, and he's annoyed. And it's just it's not your day. It is everybody else's day. And we're a little bit older. I'm about to turn 38. My wife is 33. So we, right from the get-go, we're not going to do bridesmaids, groomsmen. We're not going to rank our friends from closeness, and then you're a little bit closer, you're a little bit closer. We have sisters over here. We got, all that kind of stuff. And so we actually ended up going with a backyard wedding in my parents' backyard. It was very special. Obviously, it's a special place to me. And is now no longer my parents' backyard. It is Chelsea and I's wedding venue. But no, we had family only, a photographer, a videographer. And so we had 24 people. My parents have a back porch that we completely transformed into a place that we could eat after the ceremony. My dad's a big handyman, so he built an arch, rented some chairs, and it was really special. It was the day after Thanksgiving, November of last year, and it was really, really special. And we are happy with the decisions that we made. We are happy with how intimate we had it. We are happy. The most important and cool thing, besides obviously the marriage of me to Chelsea, and also my father was the officiant, because in South Carolina you can notary publics can legally marry. So my dad was the officiant. Another special thing. It was a team effort. My parents' house turned into a wedding venue. So my sister was hanging flowers on the arch because she's the most skilled at hanging flowers. And, you know, my nieces and nephews were asking how they could help. My niece actually filmed the entire thing on my video camera and got one of the most special moments was Chelsea coming out of my parents' back door. And like the videographer decided to shoot me and my niece shot Chelsea. And so we had both shots. And so when I think back, once again, besides the marriage to the love of my life, was how much my family had to do with my wedding. And it was like, so I'm like getting choked up at like 8 a.m. on a Thursday, but it was just like so special. And I'm more than happy to put it in the show notes, but like we vlogged the whole thing and it was like a really special moment with, you know, getting stuff from Costco and like the tables looked more beautiful than I ever could have thought. And it was at my parents' house and everybody had their hand in the pot and it was just really special.
Yeah. I had goosebumps while you were talking, man, just like feeling your love and energy, even through virtually, like that's pretty fucking cool. And I was looking through some of your photos and like, man, you guys both look stunning and extremely happy and fulfilled in that moment. So hopefully I have as much good things to say about my wedding come September. So
oh, you will.
Yeah,
you will.
Thanks for sharing all of that. I appreciate it.
I'll give you one more bit of feedback is, it's really hard with everything that's going on for you to like really sit in your emotions with your partner. But please just, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, after the end of the night or if you get married and you go off with the photographer and then like before you come back to the venue to see everybody, like just sit with it. And just understand that like this is your day and just be really intentional with your time and really intentional because, you know, the person that you wake up to every single morning is the most important person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with and the rest of your time with. And so, yeah, just make sure, even if it's 5 minutes, even just look straight into their eyes and just be like, oh my gosh, this is a person I get to spend the rest of my life with. And Chelsea and I had a lot of those moments that I will remember forever, for sure.
Yeah, I'm constantly like telling myself that I feel like the luckiest man in the world, simply because all of these things that are happening to me. And so I'm going to be ultra cognizant of that on the day of my wedding where, you know, it's a very rare occurrence, right? Where like everyone that you love the most is in one room together. Like that doesn't happen a ton. Like I wish it would happen more, but we have to plan these like huge, they have to be milestones for people to want. I understand travels a lot, getting people in the same places. Like it's very hard. I get it. But in my heart, it should happen more often, but it really doesn't if you look at the span of someone's life. And I'm thinking like, okay, this is the day. Like not only am I getting married, but like people are there to witness this love. And I think that's what's beauty about it. Like there's not only me saying my vows to my wife and her saying them back to me, there's like a community of responsibility now that is watching me. And I have to hold true to my values about committing to this woman for the rest of my life. And I think that's also really special. Even if you're not religious or whatever the case may be, like that's the whole idea behind it. Like there's an accountability factor. Like you're making a decision that could be the greatest decision of your life. It hopefully is. And I find there to be like great responsibility with that. And I'm very much looking forward to having that feeling and sitting in that moment and hopefully soaking it up, like you're saying. So I'm taking that, I'm writing it down in my notes and going to be thinking about you when I do it. So
appreciate it. I'll be thinking about you too.
Thank you. To just drastically switch subjects very quickly.
Love it.
Yeah. Like the excellent podcast transition that I'm about here on this show. But I want to talk about entrepreneurship, you know, being a business owner. You're a guy who's obviously very invested in social media. You're on social media. That's what you do for work. And I think some of the rhetoric around being an entrepreneurship is solely like positive. And I don't mean it's not a positive thing. Like I'm in the same spot as you are. We're doing it. But like, I think people hear too much like, hey, quit your job, do this. Like entrepreneurship is the way to go to path to freedom. what have been some of your real struggles in terms of building your business that I think people should be aware of if they want to venture into sort of creating their own thing?
Whew, where do I start? Yeah, I mean, it's been documented if you went through my content that I've been really struggling in the last 2 years mentally with entrepreneurship and going after the role of an entrepreneur. It's been a challenge for sure. I think a support system is really important, and I'm trying to do that better. I'm trying to have conversations with individuals that can be a support group. I think communities are amazing. If you are a course creator, there's a community out there. I know that it sometimes will cost money to be a part of these communities, but the ability to lock arms with other entrepreneurs is literally the number one thing that I would suggest. If you are sitting there in your 9 to 5 and you're like, I want to try this. Well, number one, let's make sure that you can support yourself before you make the jump. That's always a big thing. And I was single at the time when I started my journey. So I knew that if I had enough money to put food into my mouth, I was good. And the other thing that I'll caveat to that, now it's been almost 4 years of owning my own business, and now I have a wife that I would like to support with my income. So now there's stressors that weren't stressors before. So that makes me think as well that, what you're feeling in this current moment with your business can drastically shift from month to month, year to year, because what you're looking for in life can be definitely different. So community is one thing. Also having a conversation with somebody, maybe one-to-one, just to understand, you can listen to podcasts and stuff like that. But if you look down the street or your favorite follow on social media just went into business for themselves, reach out to them. Okay, what did you do to get started? I don't even know how to start an LLC. I don't even know how to open up a business bank account. I don't even know how to do all of those kind of things. There's, as everybody says, with podcasts and YouTube and course creation, there is a way to figure out almost every single answer that you need in entrepreneurship, but you definitely need to have a good support system. My wife is amazing. She's always challenging me, charge more for your time. Or I know it's really nice to catch up with your friend every Thursday at 11 a.m., but that's work time. You need to be reaching out to brands at that time. You need to be trying to, do something to gain that next client of yours during that time. But, the fact that she is always challenging me in those things is super supportive. So community, support groups, and then also doing the research on what kind of job or niche you're going after as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, those are extremely, extremely valuable tips. I think the hardest part for me has been sort of the loneliness that comes with being an entrepreneur. And I just related to this podcast. Like, again, I told you 277 episodes. This one, the first 200 episodes, my mom was the only listener, probably. I'm sure there's other people here and there, but you get my point, right? Like, what is the actual point of what I'm doing here? Well, it's to have great conversations and meet people. And if my only goal in mind is to make $1 million and be like Joe Rogan, then I'm not going to stick through 200 episodes. I'm just not. I'm going to get through 3 and I'm be like, why am I not famous? And I'm going to move on. And that can be said for pretty much any domain that you're in. But through that, there's just so much loneliness. Even with the supportive partner, if they're not in the same space as you, they see you, they look at you, they feel you, they understand you, but they're not sure why you're up till midnight, fixing the audio of a podcast that 3 people are going to listen to. Like there's a little bit of disconnect always. It's going to be there. And so my point being is that if we have some forward perspective thinking about it, you have to be willing to go through that lonely work. I was an athlete my whole life, Dodge, and I still am. And so I know that sacrifice. So I was been willing to put that in something that I love. I know that I got to sacrifice this, this, and this, and this. And when you hear only positive things about this one cool, shiny object of entrepreneurship and owning your own business and having so much freedom, some of those things do come with it. Sure, of course. But there's a whole other page of it that in the trenches, of like doing this stuff that very few people understand. And yeah, I wanted to have that conversation.
Totally. I mean, oh gosh, I just think I've had some very lonely times recently, and it's been the biggest challenge for me has been everything. This feeling that I felt since I moved to LA, and my entrepreneur journey over the last 2 years. I'm about to turn 38, so I'm experiencing depressive episodes that I've never felt before. And it's very challenging to be a 36-year-old and feel emotions you've never felt before. Very hard. And so those are the things that I've been struggling with a lot as well, is like, I don't know how to get out of it. I've never felt this before. How do I change this? How do I, do all those kind of things? I remember a deep conversation I had with Chelsea where she broke down to me about, some financial things, and I didn't have an answer for her because I was so lonely and so deep in my worry and my, I felt down because I wasn't supporting my wife. I felt all of these emotions. She's like, what can I do for you? And I was like, I don't have an answer for you. And so I had to wheel myself back. And now I try to do a good job of understanding what does make me feel good, and that checklist. I'm sure you have one too. It's like, have you gotten sun today? Have you meditated? Have you drank enough water? How was your sleep last night? How was your nutrition last night? Did you write down what you're grateful for? Like, I know that there's just like hustle culture was a thing like 2 years ago, and it's getting better. This morning routine world is like getting out of control with the cold plunges and like all this kind of stuff. Yes, there's documented scientific research behind this kind of stuff, but the morning ritual culture that is out there, some people might be talking down about it right now, but like for me, we went to a concert until midnight last night. I could have slept in this morning. Maybe I could have got a little bit more recovery for my body if I did, but I was just like, I want to get up. I want to get my body moving. I want to get the, fluff out of the get a little bit more light from the concert. We had a great time, but I just wanted to be up and awake and aware. And I wrote in my gratitude journal and I meditated on my roof, and the sun is shining here in LA, and I'm just in much better spirits. Now I get done with that morning routine and maybe money isn't coming in like I wish it was. There's still challenges. I'm still going to feel maybe like I could be doing quote unquote better, but I feel like the ability to tackle those emotions are so much stronger when my routine and my nutrition and my everything else is really dialed in.
Yes, I couldn't agree with that statement more. So that's fantastic. But let's circle back to when you first started feeling these sort of, say, fog or depressive states or these emotions that you hadn't experienced before. Was there a catalyst? Was there a couple events, or was it just sort of a cascade of things that sort of piled on?
Yeah, actually, once again, my amazing wife let me slide into her therapist session last month, and she, you try to take one or two things out of every therapy session. She said, what was it like for you to move to LA? And I was like, oh, it was great. I took my relationship with my girlfriend at the time to the next level. It's beautiful here, all these kind of things. And then I thought to myself, I've moved to other big and large cities 4 other times previous to LA. New Orleans, Minneapolis, back to South Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. And every single time I made that move, I had an in-office job, and I knew 5 to 20 people per city that I could instantly reach out to, instantly get a coffee with, instantly go on a run club with. And it took that therapy session for me to realize that, like, I came right to LA and I just started working from home, and I wasn't focusing on getting out of the house. I wasn't focusing on, reaching out to other people. It's very challenging, as anybody knows, to travel easily around LA. I have a close friend who's in Redondo Beach. Love him to death. I was in his wedding. and I can't get to Redondo more than 2 times a year because of how far it is and traffic, all that kind of stuff. So I felt really bubbled in. And it wasn't until I realized that my previous experiences moving to other cities, I was entrenched in community, people at work, happy hours, workout sessions, like all of these kind of things. And so now that I've realized that, I'm trying to take one day a week where I try to get out for a lunch with either someone that I know or somebody from social media in the area, a creative in the area. I go to evening run clubs. You know, we're sharing one car right now, so that's another hurdle that we have to go through. But trying to change that shift, that like, if I spend $14 on a Lyft to go do something that's going to fill my cup, it's not really a cost. Sure, there's a hard cost from a money standpoint, but if it's filling my cup, then it's definitely worth $12 to go to a run club and meet some new people. And also, I am an entrepreneur, and my network is my net worth. And so you don't know, there is so many businesses out here in LA. You're one step away from, you know, getting a client or joining a great company that can really set yourself up, because there's a lot going on out here in LA. So really focusing on getting out of the house and continuing those connections.
What else did you learn about yourself, you know, going through this hard period? Any revelations, big things pop up?
It's a great question. Well, the revelation through this process for me was, if I am an outgoing guy, type A, Enneagram 7, in your face, you know, I'm on social media, I'm doing impressions, I'm like, you know, I'm Mr. Positivity. So if I am vibrating high 90% of the time, what is somebody that maybe be introverted or maybe doesn't have the outgoing personality that I have? How much more are they struggling than me? How many millions of people feel the same way that I feel? So every time I get into one of these like depressive states, the first thing I think about coming out of them is I got to do more. I have to talk about it more on podcasts. I have to have more conversations on my podcast with individuals that are feeling the same way, because I know social media at times can be detrimental, but the easiest way to feel better about the circumstance that you're in is to see others feeling the same way. Now, I'm not throwing, hey, everyone that's in a depressive state, like, I hope we're all doing okay. Like, it's not that. I don't want anybody to feel the way that I feel in these moments, but knowing that other people feel the same way and maybe sharing those things that like got me out of where I was at, but like I said, if you see other people feeling the same way and then also doing steps to get out of feeling that way, it gives you hope that you can improve your mental and move forward.
Yeah. Was it a conscious choice that you made to use the words depressive state or experiencing depression rather than I'm depressed?
Yes. There's certain words in my vernacular that I think are, I don't know, sacred or is taboo the right word? Like, I'm plant-based, but I don't say vegan because I ate an egg yesterday. I am alcohol-free, but I don't consider myself sober because I think sobriety is a special word for individuals that really needed to step away from alcohol for a magnitude of reasons. No judgment on what reason whatsoever. Will I drink another sip of alcohol? Maybe. But will it affect my life the way that other individuals that consider themselves sober? So I stay away from the word sober. I say that I'm alcohol-free or non-alcoholic. And I try to stay away from like, I was in depression or I'm depressed, because I know from my experience that if I'm, you know, almost 38 and I've been feeling low for like, you know, I've had 5 depressive episodes in my adult life, then I don't really feel like I'm experiencing depression. And so those are why I kind of shy more towards like, because those 5 experiences, those feelings lasted for 5 to 7 days, and then I got out of it. And so I don't know. I kind of feel like I don't want to put labels, but like I feel like depression is like a continuous, long-lasting feeling, and I feel like the state that I was in was a depressive state, but I was able to get myself out of it through all of the things we previously talked about.
Yeah, I mean that's such a brilliant point and very, very important for anyone thinking about mental health, because you don't want to identify as the thing, because you, Aaron Dodge, are not depression. That's not who you are. And so saying you're in a depressive state or I was experiencing depression is so much more powerful, because then it tells us, okay, I have agency to do a number of tools, tactics, practices that eventually will get me out of this state that I'm experiencing. Also, if you're experiencing grief or sadness or whatever the case may be. Now, I think it's also important to know that there is another bucket of very severe mental health conditions that are not sort of included in this, like what everyone might experience on a day-to-day basis, because there are some more severe versions of depression, and that's a different conversation, which I've talked about on this podcast before. But we're thinking about, I'm just going through a state in my life that is a little bit lower than usual. I'm feeling a little foggy, a little less motivated. Okay, this is an experience that I'm having, simply like having a good experience or a bad one. And I think that's a brilliant way to start thinking about mental health, because it empowers us to do something about it. Okay, yeah, I acknowledge the fact that this is my reality. Great. What are we going to do? I'm going to get some movement. I'm going to talk to someone. I'm going to get some sunlight. I'm going to try to wake up a little earlier. I'm going to try to eat a little bit better, whatever the case may be, whatever might work for you. I think that's really, really powerful and super cool that you talk about it like that. So kudos to that.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I think it's really positive when you're experiencing something to think about it in your own terms. Everybody's experience on earth is different. Everybody experiences joy, happiness, grief, depression, everything experiences things differently. So I think verbalizing it back to yourself, talking about it on podcasts, talking about it with your spouse, talking about it with your therapist is good, because nobody is living the life that you have, and nobody is feeling the emotions that you're feeling. So if you understand and make it tangible the way that you feel about how you're feeling, then I think it's only beneficial for you, because they're your thoughts and they're your feelings. Like, it doesn't matter how, Stacy down the street felt, or a guy you heard on a podcast, how he dealt. He's going through X, Y, and Z, and so he felt this way. Well, I didn't go through those 3 things, so why am I going to feel the same way that he feels? I need to feel the way that I feel because it happened to me, and I'm the only person that has to be with my thoughts. It's me. So I think verbalizing and understanding and talking about it with your friends and on podcasts, the way that it works for you is really beneficial.
Super beneficial. Was there ever a time where you were trying to minimize what you were going through? Maybe just thinking like other people have it worse. Why am I feeling this way? I'm a grown man. I shouldn't. Anything like that come up for you?
Yeah, as people do when they feel that kind of way, like I stayed quiet from my wife. I don't call my mom when I'm in a depressive state, because I want to shelter her that her baby boy is struggling with something. But then on the other side of it, I come out of it and I say, if you haven't heard from me the last 5 days, it's because I was feeling this way. And I'm very open, very, very open with my parents, with my sisters, with Chelsea, that all of these feelings have never been anything close to suicidal ideation. Because I think that being open with them about that is really important, because everybody in today's culture with suicide on the rise is like, I wish I could have done something more. I had no idea that he was feeling that way. And so once again, it goes back to communication and like, I'm feeling this way. However, I want you to know I'm saying it straight to your face that I'm not feeling so low that I want to take action. And it's a hard conversation to have. It really is. And so, but once again, open communication with your loved ones around that you're feeling low, but not enough to do something harmful is beneficial for everybody. It's beneficial that they can feel better about that this funk is going to hopefully end soon. And, you know, it's good for me to communicate that.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't sure if I was going to share this, but it seems valuable and pertinent to the conversation. But I lost my big sister, Rachel, about 6 years ago to suicide. And one of the reasons why I transitioned this podcast, having conversations like this, and that's why I have a mental health nonprofit called You Are Loved, simply for the fact that of these conversations, especially ones about suicide and suicidal ideation, has to be brought out of the darkness. Like, it's the only way that things are going to change, is that it doesn't seem like such a scary topic. Because when you think about it, obviously it is. Someone's ending their own life. That's the most tragic way and painful way that we can lose someone we love. But if we don't speak about it directly and honestly, then it's never going to be okay. Then someone who might be thinking about it has possibly heard people talk about it before, and they're more likely to say to a friend, a loved one, anyone, like, hey, I'm really thinking about taking some action. I've made some steps. Like, what the fuck do I do about it? It's more likely to be the case than if no one ever talked about it ever, and we just shoved it under the rug and kept it in the darkness. And so I only bring that up, not to talk about myself, but to say, like, the conversations you're doing and we're having and everyone is having about mental health are extremely valuable. Now, I think we have to move past awareness. Like, I think we have enough mental health awareness. I think we need more mental health action. People need to know what to do now. That's the step we need to have. Like, every May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It needs to be rebranded. So you can do this as the social media guy to Mental Health Action Month. Mental Health Action Month. Doesn't need. Yes. I don't need to be aware. I got it. I know what I'm feeling. What do I freaking do about it? What's my day-to-day steps? What are my tactics? What are my tools? What are this, that I can do when I'm feeling this way? How can I get out of it quicker? Like, that's the point we need to get to. And that's when I've sort of been adamant about, you know, rebranding of this mental health. It needs to be sexier in a way that people want to grab onto it, right? That's the content you're making, like, where it draws people's attention in, right? That's what we have to do, the same thing with mental health. And I think people are talking about it in the business world and the sports world as a performance enhancer. That's what we need to get young kids to think about. Like, if you start dialing in on your mental health, you will be that much better of yourself, more in tune, more in touch, more connected, like some of these beautiful things. And then, yes, then we have to deal with those things like the bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, all that is sort of in a separate bucket. But we can tackle this everyday mental health in a new way. Not to get very, you know, fired up about it, but that's just what I think.
Well, first of all, I want to say sorry for your loss, and I really appreciate you bringing it up in the podcast and being vulnerable. I think vulnerability is a beautiful thing, and just wanted to make sure that I gave space for you and your family for bringing that up. But I could not agree with you more. I think, and I saw a couple of people, specifically an individual on LinkedIn that is very in the mental health space, and he said exactly what you said. Like, can we come out of this awareness phase? Like, I think that I dislike these like months so much too. It's like Pride Month. Like, no, let's celebrate love 365 days a year. Mental health awareness. Let's make mental health action 365 days a year. We have to be talking about it 12 months out of the year, because that's how important it is, especially at this current time that we're in. So I couldn't agree with you more. So happy to hear that you're leading the way in this podcast, and your nonprofit is doing that. So kudos to you, and I am here to be a champion with you 100%.
Thank you, my friend. All right, next thing that I feel like is important to talk about is what are you paying attention to on social media? What's been catching your eye? What should other people be paying attention to if they're also creating content?
Ooh, gosh, there's so much. I guess I'll just riff and then you can pick it apart. Love LinkedIn. It's been helping me with my writing. So I've really enjoyed that over the last 12 to 18 months. So if you're listening to this, LinkedIn is no longer, I want to get a job. LinkedIn is a full-fledged social media platform that you should be creating, writing, and talking about your day-to-day life on. Darren McKee is a close buddy of mine that has been teaching all of us what it's like to build a community on LinkedIn, and somebody that I look up to tremendously in that world. We talked about a little bit earlier. I don't think you physically said it, but consistency is so important with social media. And he's been posting for like 3 consecutive years on LinkedIn and has built an amazing brand over there. I love Threads. Threads has been super fun with me. I think you found me because I said I want to be on more podcasts. I think Threads is really fun. The algorithm is really dialed in. I see a lot of LA creators on there. I see people talking about the NBA, the WNBA and women's sports that I really care about. So if you're not on Threads, you need to get on Threads. Another thing that I'm really excited about that I'm going to start diving into more is storytelling on YouTube, and not being too hard with the edits, just what's going on in your life. Kind of like a daily vlog, but you're not like having to do like these like Casey Neistat, riding a one wheel around New York City with your gimbal to like keep people entertained. A buddy of mine is doing a fantastic job, and he's already an amazing creator on other platforms, has a great business, but he's been doing some really fun stuff on YouTube. His name's JT Barnett. So give him a follow. He's really storytelling about being an entrepreneur, but doing it in just like a chill, fun way. And I think that a lot of people want to feel more relaxed when they're taking in content. So a lot of people just want to feel not over edited to. I think even Alex Hermosi came out and said, I'm done with the crazy editing. I'm just going to do more chill storytelling. So I'm keeping my eye on that. And I'm diving in, going to start diving into those kind of things as well. And also I look over at TikTok, and TikTok shop is nuts. I think if you're a creator right now and you have enough followers and you're not trying to monetize TikTok shop, you really should take a look into it. I'm actually considering starting a new channel with me and Chelsea, just based solely off of TikTok shop. And they dropped the requirement in order for you to be a TikTok shop creator from 5,000 followers down to 1,000. What that tells me is that they want more people creating more content, because TikTok shop is like going to continue to be a thing. And so I'm looking into that. And so, gosh, Instagram is just, I don't know. I saw Adam Mosseri on the Colin and Samir show. I didn't like some of the things he said, and I like some of the things he said. So yeah. And back to my mental health. I think as an entrepreneur, especially a social media consulting entrepreneur, I hope somebody out there feels the same way that I feel and that I can help someone. But I feel like there's always like you got to be coaching on social media because I need more. I have enough revenue coming in with my few clients that I don't have to be super salesy with my content. And so when I was in one of those low periods a couple months ago, I was like, what is going to make me happy to press publish? And the answer was making content with my wife. My wife is an introvert. I brought her out of her shell. It's why I fell in love with her. She's literally the funniest person I've ever met. Everybody that knows her knows that. And she is just like, she's the best. And I love creating content with her. I'm a content creator. I pulled her out of her shell, and the best performing content on my Instagram over the last 8 months has been content with me and my wife, and it's bringing me happiness. And now I would have never thought in a million years that I would be emailing brands like, hire us as a couple. We'll create content for your brand as a couple. Like, here's the metrics. We're performing all of those kind of things. So if you're out there and you're stuck and you're in a rut, just like stop thinking about conversions. Stop thinking about this video has to be edited so amazing so that it can get me 3 leads so that I can drip on them for the next 6 weeks so that they can buy my course in a month. Like, no, like whatever is going to bring you the most joy when you press publish, post that today. And I'm telling you, when people start commenting on it, when people start laughing at it, when people start doing whatever, it's going to make you so much more fulfilled than like, here's the top 5 reasons why you should be posting on LinkedIn. Number 1, like, no, people want to be entertained. People want to come to social media to be entertained or educated, one of the two. And if being in that education space, like this video has to convert is not helping your mental, you need to go to entertaining or fun, or, you know, if you're an artist just drawing a picture that you're not going to plan to sell it, you're not going to hang it up on your wall, but just creating. One of my favorite books is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. If you are a creative in any manner, that is like my daily meditation. So that would be something that I would say about that.
Dude, that guy has figured out how to put into words the most just like elusive ideas. Like it's unbelievable, actually. Because most people can't explain their creative process because they just like, they do it. They're in the zone. Like, this is just like flowing. And he's like, no, I got it. This is how you do it right here. I'm like, okay.
When I was in a posting rut and he said, whatever chapter it was, if you don't post the idea, somebody else will. I was like, oh gosh. I was like, you know, it stuck me to the core. It's like, that's exactly right. There's an infinite amount of ideas in the ether. But if you're not the first, or if you're not the best, but if you don't post it, you'll never know. And somebody else will do it. So get that book.
Yes. I think it's really awesome that the trend is moving in the direction of more organic, non-edited, like super published videos. Because that's just good for everyone, right? It's good for everyone to know that, like, you don't need the fancy video production team on the back end to like just like shoot you and your friends to like doing whatever you're doing, going to the freaking skate park, getting a Slurpee after school, like whatever you're doing, right? And just like throw it up on the internet. Because I think that's how like the original started with all these other short form content. It was just like stuff, and then it turned into like these hyper edited, perfect vlogs of you like traveling the world to the most best places. Like, some people still do that and they have the means to do it. Cool, they should, for sure. But people really, really want to see just like everyday stuff, to know that like what they do is also okay and cool and they can post it too. And there's always going to be that a little bit of comparison that leaks in on social media. You can't totally eliminate it, just human nature. But if we can compare in a way that's going to motivate and encourage us and uplift us and not shame ourselves, I think that's a positive that can come from this flippant trend. Because I mean, social media is not going anywhere, right? Like, it's just not. Some people demonize it like it's the worst thing ever. It doesn't matter if you think that. It's not going anywhere. And so our best bet is to try and use it in the most intentional, productive way possible, like you were speaking about. And I think that, that's the path forward.
Totally. Yeah. When I got into some lows, it was just like, social media is killing my mental, but it also is making me money. It's like, where do I go from here? So I stopped power scrolling and I started making content that made me happy. And then just those two changes, it has lifted my spirits. And now I can be on the apps more regularly and be inspired and do all the kind of things that, are going to make me happy. So.
Yeah. Your wife sounds like my fiance. I've been trying to get her to come on this podcast now for 3 years. she's like, I don't know what to say. What do I say? I'm like, say it. Like, it doesn't matter. Say anything. Yeah. So it's funny. Like, I keep telling her, like, the audience is still small. Like, it'll be okay if you mess up now, but if you wait a couple years, sorry, pal, like, we're going to be out there in front of everyone. So you can, she's like, whatever, I'll do episode 500. I said, all right, sounds good. Special episode.
I know. I pulled my wife out of her shell. She's She's been on 2 episodes, and we're actually starting a podcast for her jewelry business. So she will really be coming out of the shell. So I need to challenge her to come a little bit earlier than 500.
Yeah, please. Please.
So you tell her. Yeah. I said.
Seems like your wife Chelsea's rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I think that.
What's that?
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I'll challenge her. She can come. I think 300 is a good number. Yeah, I think. I mean, when you're an independent woman and you're doing your own thing, and then a guy like me comes along, and now we're married. It's just like, if I can get the party started, then she always opens up. I think the last podcast that we did about our wedding, she gave me like 2-word answers the first 3 questions I said. And I said, are you just going to be answering me with yes for the next? And then she opened up. And so she's the best though.
That's beautiful. What are maybe some things that are on the horizon that people can pay attention to in terms of catching some trends early on that maybe you've seen?
Explain that a little bit more. When you say like things that I see that are coming, or things.
Yeah, like what'll be important maybe 6 or 12 months from now? I think you might have sort of answered that with the last question, but anything else there?
Yeah, I would definitely say, and it might be I feel like we're getting a little bit. I think it's kind of reached critical mass, but you always have time. But I'm just saying, like, as far as like how trends are, like, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, newsletters weren't a big deal. Now everybody's got a newsletter, and newsletters are so important. So that was probably 18 to 24 months ago. Something that's like middle trend that I'll say is building a community. So if you, and where are you storing your community, and how are you communicating with those individuals? How often, one of my favorite creators, OMG Adrian, he is just a talented storyteller turned content creator. He's had a couple of events out here in LA, and 250 people show up. It's just like he's built like a great following of people that want to learn from him, that want to see what he's doing on a day-to-day basis. I don't know if he really has like a daily community, like a school or a circle community. I don't know if he does, but when he wants to do a live in-person event, people show up for that. So if he's going to come out with an editing package or a course or anything like that, he has an amazing community that can buy from them. And so I would just say to people, don't really focus too much on your follower growth. I mean, we obviously know that there are individuals with small followings that have large communities, or small followings that are making significant money with brand deals. And so it's not really about the following, it's about the community that you're after. A book that was really popular even before it was cool is Superfans by Pat Flynn, where he says that you really, in a world full of, 7.8 billion people on the planet, you really only need about 1,000 people actively engaging with your content, buying from you, to set yourself up for success. And so whether that be starting a broadcast channel on Instagram, or a $5 subscription on Instagram, or taking your community over to Circle or School or Mighty Networks, there's ways for you. And it doesn't have to be a massive community. I started in a friends community for content creators 2 years ago. I would probably say when I was in there was probably 25 of us, and that community has ballooned to, I think, 150 people, somewhere around $45 a month. And now that creator makes a full-time income just off of her community. And that is massive for a creator to have that kind of income coming solely from their community.
Yeah. I think it's wickedly valuable to have 500 fans who like really fuck with what you do, than like 10,000 people who are like, it's pretty good. But those 500 people are sharing everything with all of their friends all the time. They're your number one marketing tool. Like, and then you nurture them. You talk to them. You go live with them. You send them stuff. You post exclusive things for them. Like, and it's not quote unquote extra work. Like, these are the people who are quote unquote paying your bills. Now, I know it's really hard to get to 500 people who really admire and mess with what you do, but that's why you got to put in the work over time. Like, you got to put out, valuable stuff and things that you care about and care about what you're doing and all of these sorts of things. And it builds over time. And just like anything great, right? It takes consistency, lots of effort, time, lonely nights, all of that stuff that, we've talked about throughout this whole interview. But yeah, really valuable. Great. Any last minute comments, questions, anecdotes, funny stories over there?
No, man, this has been a really, really fun conversation. Thank you for being vulnerable, and thank you for doing the work that you've been doing, and excited to, like I said, get off this podcast and continue our friendship and figure out ways that we can work together to erase the stigma of not only mental health as a whole, but mental health and vulnerability inside of men, and taking getting the masculinity and pushing it away and really having deep conversations. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Right back at you. Feel good, blossoming thing happening here. So look at that power of social media.
I'm going to end with something. Here's something to end with, Goofy. On average,
okay,
how many times per week does somebody say Aaron to you?
Oh God. Every time I meet a new person.
Oh, Aaron, you know that sketch with Key and Peele? Yes, I've seen it. Thank you.
Normally, no, I've never seen it. Never. Ever.
What are you
You're
talking?
the first person to
what are you...
tell me that. I played like a men's league for baseball, and I guest on a new team last week, and every single person said it. I'm like, guys, we're all in the same dugout. Same joke's been said like 8 times. Yes, my name is Aaron. Big A, little A, R-O-N. Yes, I've seen the skit, and thank you for allowing me to play on your team. All right.
Well, the thing for me was before it was Aaron, because my last name is Dodge. It was like, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, and I was like, cool, good. I haven't seen dodgeball before, but I would take Aaron over you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. So we'll shift from one joke to another.
Yeah. It's very funny. Great. So where should people go if they want to find more of you?
Yeah, I'm most active over on Instagram, Aaron_Dodge on Instagram. Got some fun stuff coming. I know my wheels are turning in different areas. Like I said, I was looking to start a podcast with my wife about her jewelry business. And then I'm actually transitioning and wanting to do more in the mental space, and then the going above and beyond and not living what I would consider the normal life. And so I've always wanted to use my last name in some way for my personal brand. And so Dodge the Norm, you'll be seeing more of that. Started my newsletter last week. And so excited about what that's going to look like. It changes every day, but when you're in content, all you got to do is press record and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. Beautiful, man. That's awesome. Well, again, thanks for joining me. Looking forward to what we got in store, but thank you again.
Of course, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much for tuning into that episode. And if you enjoyed it, click right here for another full-length episode of the podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe. But most importantly, above all else, please take good care of yourselves and others. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Cheers.